Hey, what's going on, everybody out there in YouTube land? So today we're going to have a look at a very popular device. This is the newest version, the version 3, and because this thing is so popular, I wanted to get my hands on one and see if it actually, is really all that good or if it's all just hype. Today we're going to have a look at the HEXOHM version 3 by Craving Vapor. At the moment, I got the iJoy Limitless 24 RDA with some alien coils installed. I have the potentiometer set to about 50%. Let's have a vape. So before we get into the device, let's talk about today's liquid. Today's liquid that I'm vaping on is from Ethos Vapor. Ethos Vapor. This is Strawberry Crispy Treats, and pretty much what it's supposed to be is a strawberry Rice Krispie treat. I don't really get Rice Krispie treat off this one. I get more of like a sweetened kind of bakery strawberry. It's not too bad. It's not the greatest. It's not the worst. When I first got it, it wasn't all that great, but I let it steep for a little while, and I've been enjoying it. Once again, if you like strawberries, it's definitely worth a vape, but I don't get Rice Krispie treats off of it. But I am a strawberry lover, so definitely been enjoying it. This is available in 60 ml bottles, $18.95. This was sent over by elementvape.com. I will have links posted in the description as usual. It is available in 0, 3, and 6 milligrams. It's a 75-25 VGPG. So if you guys are into strawberries, you want to give it a shot, once again, links posted in the description. So the HEXOHM version 3 was sent over directly by Vapor DNA for the purpose of this review. If you guys are interested in checking one out or picking one up, I will have links posted in the description to Vapor DNA. And currently at the moment, the HEXOHM version 3 is going for $189. So the HEXOHM, like I said, I always see videos about this thing and see it in Instagram photos, and I just see the HEXOHM everywhere, and I've never owned a HEXOHM. They have a few different versions out there. Heard about the version 3, heard there were some improvements on it, and I wanted to get my hands on one. I wanted to see if this thing was actually all that, because I guess I got tired of seeing it, actually. So I wanted to see if this thing was really all that it's cracked up to be. So, with all that said, what we're going to do is we're going to dive down, we're going to have a look at it. I'm going to show you guys how this potentiometer thing works. We're actually going to remove the battery sled, and we're going to have a look at the internals. Then we're going to come back up, we're going to go through some pros and cons, and I'll let you guys know what I think. So, with all that said, let's dive down. Let's have an up-close look at the new HEXOHM version 3 by Craving Vapor. The overall dimensions on the new box, we're looking at 103 millimeters tall, 51 millimeters wide, 27 millimeters thick. It does weigh in at 184 grams without batteries. They are using their own custom milled aluminum boxes. So we have an all aluminum enclosure, and the finish is a powder coated finish. On the new version 3s, they have a proprietary chip. Now on the previous versions, they were using the OKL chip, but these new chips, from what I'm being told, are designed by them. A few specs on the chip: they go up to 180 watts max, 3 volts to 6 volts. They have a 30 amp max output current, and the recommended resistance, the lowest recommended, is 0.2, but these can fire down to a 0.1 ohm, and we'll talk more about that later on in the video. At the top, we do have a newly designed 510 connection, all stainless steel threads, and down in the center right there, we have an all brass spring-loaded 510 pin, and the spring on this one is nice and firm. The 510 connection does sit nice and flush with the box, so all your atomizers will sit nice and flush. Also, what I like about it is the 510 connection is right in the center, so everything's going to look nice and centered, and because this box is 27 millimeters thick, it's going to look good with your larger diameter atomizers. So here is a 25 millimeter Kennedy RDA, and as you can see, sitting nice and flush, no overhang on either side. And here's a look at a 22 millimeter RDA, the Troll from Motofo. Of course, we don't have any overhang, and you can see it does sit nice and flush. On this side, we're going to have that famous dome-style switch that the HEXOHM is known for. Now, I'm used to using MyTech switches, but the dome-style switch is actually pretty comfortable. It's got a nice firm spring, very springy design, nice and clicky, very comfortable to use. I've had no issues with it, no misfires. Other than the size and it's sticking out quite a bit, it actually is a pretty nice switch. Below that, we're going to have your potentiometer. This is what you're going to use to adjust your voltage. And it's actually a pretty nice potentiometer. It's not too loose. I've had some that were really loose that would move around really easily. This one, you actually have to stick your nail in it and give it a turn to adjust it. Overall, no complaints on the potentiometer. So really quick, I want to show you guys how the potentiometer works and some of the limitations on the box. Now, as I said, the lowest recommended resistance it can fire down to is a 0.2, and that's what the potentiometer is set all the way to 100. But they do state the lowest it can fire is a 0.1. Now, if you're using a 0.1, you won't necessarily be able to set it all the way at max. You'll get maybe 75 or 50% out of it. So what we're going to do really quick, we're going to test that theory. I got a 0.2 ohm coil here. Of course, the HEXOHM doesn't have a screen or an ohm meter, so you're going to have to check everything through an ohm meter. So I got a 0.2 coil. We're going to screw it down. I have the potentiometer set to maximum, 100%. And as you can see, it will fire at 100% at a 0.2 ohm coil. So let's lower the resistance on this build, and let's see where we can set this potentiometer to. All right, so as you can see, I got a 0.1 build, around a 0.1, 0.11, and we're going to see how far we can set that potentiometer. Some have said 75%, some have said 50. So as you can see, at the moment I have it set to 100%. Let's see if we could fire at 100%. Nope, it can't fire at 100. So let's adjust it to around 75. All right, let's set it around 50%. All right, won't do 50. Let's drop it a little below 50. All right, let me just adjust it as I fire the device. There we go. Adjust it a little higher. There we go. All right, so as you can see, at a 0.1 exactly, you can fire it a little less than 50%. So if I set it to 50, trying to get my screwdriver in there. Come on, bear with me, people. There we go. A little less than 50%. You'll see it will fire it, but the minute I go to 50 or anything higher, it won't fire it. So recommended 0.2 at 100%, but if you're running it at 0.1, you can go around 50% or lower. On the bottom, we don't have any holes drilled out for ventilation. Along the side right here, we do have the HEXOHM logo at the bottom, and there is a serial number at the bottom right there, 1681, and below the serial number, it will say 3.0 for version 3. On the front of the box, we do have the HEXOHM Craving Vapor logo. Now, the logos on this one, I believe the process they're using, they do a powder coating, and then they etch out the logos, so the finish is actually raised up over the logo. So I believe that color that we see there is the color of the box or the finish under the powder coating. Before we crack open the box, let's talk more about the finish. Now, all the finishes, all the boxes are powder coated. If you're familiar with powder coating, it's a real durable finish. Now, when I received this box, I had a nice little ding on the battery door right there. As you can see, it's down to the bare aluminum. I did contact Craving Vapor, and since these have a lifetime warranty, they are sending out a replacement battery door, no questions asked. So their warranty is pretty amazing, and like I said, I did receive that actually from the vendor, but we're still going to check out the finish on this one. Nice kind of matte finish to it, nice and grippy. It's not going to slip out of your hands. And if we go at the bottom right here and do a quick scratch test with our key, we can actually see how durable this powder coating is. And you can see the key just kind of glides along that powder coating. So the powder coating is very, very durable, but if you drop it on the ground or if it takes a nice big fall, more than likely you're going to get a little bit of a ding right there. But overall, the finish on here is amazing. Now the battery door on the version 3, as you can see, the magnets are no longer exposed, and we have a little very nice gap going around the entire box. And it's not just a gap on one side. The gap actually goes around all 4 sides, so it actually looks really nice. And the reason for that gap is so you can get your nails in there and open up that battery door, so you don't have to just remove it from the bottom. You can actually remove it from any side. The magnets they're using on here, nice and strong. Very, very solid magnets. When I put the door in place, it's actually a really tight-fitting door. You're going to get zero battery door movement. I mean, none whatsoever. Very solid box. No button rattle, nothing whatsoever. Very impressed with this battery door. So having a look at the inside, we'll pop off the battery door. You can see the aluminum finish on the back side. The powder coating doesn't continue on to the back side of the door. There are those really large magnets. Having a look at the inside, they are using a new injection molded HEXOHM battery sled. They're not using the 3D printed plastic anymore. The HEXOHM is more durable and can withstand higher temperatures. And the HEXOHM looks a little like dirty or unfinished, but that's actually the way it's supposed to look. It still has a nice smooth feel to it. I think that's just the way the HEXOHM kind of looks. You can see we have your battery indicators. We have all brass battery contacts, spring-loaded on the negative ends. We have your battery strap. And you'll also notice that we have an on-off switch right here. Now this on-off button, pretty much like a spring-loaded button. Just push it in to turn it on. Push it out to turn it off. Real nice feature, especially since we don't have a lock on the switch. So if you put this in your bag or your purse or toss it in your pocket, it's a really good idea to press this and turn the device off. Now, even though the inside of this looks beautiful with this newly designed battery sled and this cover going over the electronics, you guys know still I want to access the inside, just see what it looks like on the inside. So what we're going to do, we're going to remove these 4 screws and we're going to have a look at the internals. So having a look at the internals, for those of you that are familiar with all the different components, here's a look at the internals. Very clean on the inside. I expected a lot more wires actually, but overall these internals are beautiful looking. Let me see if I can get a closer shot at some of the components. That's pretty much going to be it for the internals. Batteries are in there. Batteries are nice and snug. They're not going to pop out on you. Pop the battery door on. Let's compare it up next to a few other devices really quick. Comparing it up next to the Titan box, the newest Titan box. The HEXOHM is a few millimeters taller. The width is about the same. The weight on these two boxes is much different. The Titan box is much lighter than the HEXOHM. Just to give you guys an idea on the size, here it is next to a Lost Vape eFusion Duo. As you can see, it's a little bit taller than a Duo. Here it is next to an IPv3 Li VR. As you can see, about the same height. And here it is next to another custom box mod that has an OKR chip in there using the same dome-style switch. The only difference is this custom box has a really nasty hem and lean to it. You can see it leaning pretty bad right there. The HEXOHM version 3 has no leans whatsoever. It is all custom milled, so all the edges are nice and flat and straight. Alright guys, so that's pretty much going to be it for the up close and personal. Let's jump back up and let's have a vape. Alright guys, there you have it, up close and personal with the HEXOHM 3. Let's have a vape. One thing I kind of notice about this box, and I'm pretty sure people are wondering this because of this seam that goes around the box. It's kind of large. It looks good because it goes around the entire box, but I over drip a lot, especially on this RDA right here, and I'll have liquid pouring down the side. And I noticed that liquid actually doesn't get inside this box. Because this battery door on here is so tight, liquid doesn't even get inside there. And if you happen to get liquid inside this box, there's a little lip right here on the inside of the door, and the liquid will actually sit on top of that lip and we will never get inside the internals. Actually pretty nice. So this battery door on this thing is amazing. So before we get into the pros and cons, I just kind of want to talk a little bit about it. The HEXOHM V3, you know, it kind of works like a PWM device. We have a chip inside here, but you know, these are one of the easiest devices to use. Now they're more for experienced vapors, but they're really easy to use because all you do is you just turn the dial to suit your, you know, your taste. If you want a warm vape, a cool vape, a hot vape, all you do, adjust that dial. As long as you know your resistance on here, that's all you got to do. I set mine real low, like at 25%, and I just adjust it to suit my taste. Now on the newest version, we do have a little bit of protection on the board. I believe the previous versions, if you tried to go past that resistance, that minimum resistance, you would end up damaging the board and you could possibly burn out the board. With the newest version, if you try to go over, like you guys seen in the up close, it just shuts down. It won't actually fire it. So there is a little bit of safety protection against the board. Once again, lowest recommended resistance 0.2, but you can actually fire down to a 0.1 at 50%. Another thing I was really kind of amazed about were the internals underneath that battery sled. So for instance, here are two boxes that have OKR chips in them. And as you can see, even though the internals are somewhat clean, there are a lot of wires in there. There's a lot going on inside there. Here's another one right here. Once again, still clean, but there's a lot of wires on the inside there. And what kind of amazed me, I mean, I don't know how, electronics and how you build mods and the chips and all that, but the board that's on the inside looked kind of like a motherboard. Really interesting design the way they did this one. Very clean internals. So let's go through some of the pros and cons on this one and actually see if this box lives up to all the hype. Is it really all hype, or is this box actually really that good? We'll start off with the pros as usual. Pro number one, the build quality. The moment I pulled it out of the packaging, it doesn't come in a box or anything, this comes in some bubble wrap, but the moment I pulled it out, this thing was rock solid. Even without batteries, this thing had some weight to it. Just a super solid device. Everything is nice and tight fitting on here. The battery door, the button, zero rattle. I just love the durability on this thing and just the quality. Everything was just very nicely done. And the finish, the powder coating finish on here is unbelievable. The next pro are going to be the internals. That new injection molded Ultem, that is beautiful looking. Now it has a little bit of a hazy finish to it, but I think that's just the Ultem or whatever it is. But the internals, very nice, very clean. Even when you pull out the battery tray, which I don't recommend doing, underneath all that, it's still very, very clean. So I'm going to give it a thumbs up for the overall cleanliness of the internals. The next pro, the 510 connection on here. Love the 510 connection. When I first seen it, it looked kind of like, it looked kind of small. I'm used to the Fat Daddy 510 connections, but this one, first off, sits nice and center. So all my atomizers are going to look perfect on here. I love when they put that 510 in the center. It's nice and flush. Everything sits flush, and it can accommodate or look good, should I say, with anything up to a 25 millimeter with no overhang. So I'm definitely going to give it a thumbs up for that 510 connection. The next pro is going to be the firing switch. Now I'm used to using MyTech switches in all my custom boxes. I always opt for that MyTech switch. This one, a little bit different. Of course, it sticks out quite a bit, and people are always in question about the switch, but I can tell you right now, it's a nice, solid, springy switch. It's got a little bit of a click to it. Doesn't feel mushy whatsoever. Very responsive. I had no misfires. I'm actually really enjoying the switch. I was really surprised. So, gonna give it a thumbs up for that switch. The next pro is the fact that it can fire down to a 0.1 ohm. Now they recommend 0.2 when you can adjust the potentiometer all the way to 100%, but it can fire down to a 0.1. And what I also like is that it won't fire anything it cannot handle. So if you put like a 0.1 on here and you have it set to 75%, usually on other boxes, it might damage the chip. It'll fire it, but you might end up burning that chip. With this one, it actually prevents it from firing. So definitely going to give it a thumbs up for that. The next pro is the battery door. You guys know I love talking about battery doors, man. And this fitted battery door is beautiful. This is perfect. The next pro is going to be the addition of the on-off switch. I don't think the older versions offered that, but we now have an on-off switch. So since we don't have a locking feature on the button, and I always throw my mods in my pocket, it's nice to know I can turn a device on or off. So I'm going to give it a thumbs up for that. And the last pro on this one, I definitely give it to the lifetime warranty. For a box that costs $189, almost $200, you want a good warranty with it. This one comes with a lifetime warranty. Now, it doesn't cover user errors. So if you do something stupid to the box, they're not going to cover it. But if it malfunctions or if you receive it and the finish has a defect like mine had, they will cover it. So I definitely give it a thumbs up for that awesome lifetime warranty. So there are the pros. Let's go through the very one con I have. I tried my best to try to find something wrong with this thing. I was looking it over. I was doing this, doing that. I took it out with me. I just wanted something to happen to it so I can complain about something. But I can tell you right now, I don't have anything to complain about. The only con that I can come up with is the fact that it doesn't have a display or a readout screen. So you don't know your resistance, you don't know how many volts are being applied to it. And that's the only thing I come up with. I cannot find anything else wrong with this device or anything that I would improve on it. This is almost a perfect device, so it does live up to the hype. All right, so there are the pros and the cons. Let's have one last vape. So at the end of the day, would I recommend the HEXOHM version 3? The answer is going to be yes. Most definitely. I cannot find really anything wrong with this device. The durability, the build quality, the performance, everything about this device I love. The price tag is high, $189, almost $200, but you get that lifetime warranty. The HEXOHM series has been around for a long time. Craving Vapor has been around for a long time. So I'm assuming they have a good reputation. So the hype on this box is real. This thing is really awesome. It's more for the advanced vapor, but it's very easy to use. You got a simple dial, and that's it. So I would definitely check out one of these if it's in your budget. All right, so that's going to be it. That's all I got for you guys today. If you have any comments or questions on the version 3, please feel free to leave them below. Please like, share, and subscribe. I'll talk to everyone very, very soon. Make sure you guys build safe and vape on.